A very good afternoon to everyone. Welcome to Technical Session 1, a new approach to teacher education. As we know, education is the most powerful weapon to change the world. A teacher is a compass that activates the magnets of curiosity, knowledge, and wisdom in the pupils. Today in this session, we are honored to have Professor J.S. Rajput ji, India representative on UNESCO Executive Board and former Director NCRT as chairperson for this session. Professor J.S. Rajputji is known for his contributions in reforms in school education and teacher education. His research publications in physics earned him a professorship in NCRT. Though a professor of physics, he is known for regulating the B.Ed correspondence courses as the first chairman of NCET and for starting the 2-year innovative B.Ed course. He has published research papers in several areas in education, guided doctoral level scholars, and has authored many books. Presently, he is India representative on the executive board of UNESCO in March 2018 for 4-year term. In November, he was elected Chairman Board of Governors of the Mahatma Gandhi Institute of Education for Peace and Sustainable Development, MGIEP, a Grade 1 UNESCO institute. Welcome, sir. We have amongst us Dr. Harshit Patel, Vice Chancellor, Indian Institute of Teacher Education, Gujarat, as a speaker in this session. Dr. Harshit Patel, Vice Chancellor of Indian Institute of Teacher Education, Gandhinagar, is a committed teacher educator at the core of his heart. Dr. Patel is a leading IITE, a sectorial university dedicated for teacher education established by Honorable Shri Narendra Modi ji during his tenure as CM of the Gujarat. He is representing Gujarat as a member of Western Regional Committee, National Council for Teachers Education since 2019. He is appointed as a member in the task force set up by the Gujarat government to implement National Education Policy 2020 in school education. He has also been appointed in the Central Committee of 125 years old Gujarat Sahitya Parishad. The next speaker in this session, we have Professor Binod Kumar Tripathi ji. Professor Binod Kumar Tripathi ji is the Director of Inter-University Center for Teacher Education, BHU Varanasi, since 23rd December 2016 till date. He has more than 15 years of experience as a professor in NCRT New Delhi from May 2005 till date. Also served as Joint Director in NCRT from June 2011 to December 2016 and Director NCRT from October 2014 to November 2015. Professor Tripathi has, to his credit, scholarly publications in high-impact journals under his able leadership as the first director of IUCTE. The institution has achieved several milestones in the last 4 years and is still developing further. The next speaker in this session, we have Mrs. Rajita Kulkarni ji. Mrs. Rajita Kulkarni is a successful banker turned educator, a bestseller author, a global thought leader, and a transformational leadership coach. She is currently holding many prestigious positions. Some of them are President, World Forum for Ethics in Business, President Sri Sri University, Trustee, Sri Sri Ravi Shankar Vidya Mandir Trustee, and many more. I welcome all the esteemed panelist members for the discussion today, and may I now request Dr. J.S. Rajput ji to chair the session and to address the gathering and bless us. Sir, please.
Distinguished Vice Chancellors, functionaries of the AIU, and heads of institutions, distinguished academics, colleagues, and friends. I feel privileged to address the Vice Chancellor's gathering. When as a young person I joined the University of Allahabad, I was so keen to see a Vice Chancellor because I was told they are the embodiment of scholarship, learning. They are creators of knowledge, disseminators of knowledge. Kings and emperors take dust from their feet. So I still remember vividly how keen I was to see a vice chancellor. Times change, and now I have the privilege of addressing several vice chancellors today and even in past. I'm also privileged that we are talking about reimagining teacher education. This national education policy has, for the first time, put it on record that things are not so good with the teacher education and some serious activities and actions are required. So far, as reimagining is concerned, this idea of the Indian Institute of Teacher Education, Gujarat, is itself an example of reimagining teacher education. I very well remember when we had the initial discussions along with Shri Girish Joshi and Shri Narendra Modi about this institution, how keen the then Chief Minister of Gujarat was to prepare teachers who would have a continuity with the traditional Indian concept of teacher and teacherhood. So I am privileged that Dr. Patel would be speaking to us. Similarly, Professor Tripathi is heading the Inter-University Center for Teacher Education. This is another area which emphasizes the imagination of teacher education. This idea should be in a position to help the entire teacher education of this country upgrading itself qualitatively, professionally, and in interdisciplinary attitudes and approaches. I am not familiar with this university in the Cuttack, but I hope I am familiar with what Shri Shri is doing in the country and how is he helping young people. So I'm sure this university also must be another area of reimagining teacher education. We all are concerned. We need teachers for the 21st century. We cannot go ahead with the approach of 1970s and 1980s. In some cases, it is 1960s. Things must change. Everything has changed. The whole scope, environment, and the horizon of education is changing. And this change can be brought about only by teachers. It can only be upgraded by teachers. It can only be enhanced and made dynamic by teachers. So I will make a couple of remarks later on also, but these are my initial things that I would like to mention. There are three things which are being talked about in every forum on education and teacher education. And these are lifelong learning, learning to learn, and learning to live together. These indicate how broad and wide is the scope of teacher education. And what should be the personality of a teacher? What should be the attitude that we should cultivate? Knowledge, bookish knowledge can be acquired at any stage. But the transformation of the person that must take place takes place in teacher education institutions. I recall Gunnar Myrdal's statement made in 1968-70 in his famous treatise, The Asian Drama, in which he has said, the quality in every sector of the developing country shall flow from one point, and that point is teacher education institutions. If you can have best quality teacher educators in the country, only then you can prepare good teachers, and only good teachers can prepare good citizens. This is simple arithmetic, and we have to work around this. This is permanent, this is eternal. You have to put dynamism in the ideas, how to do it, you have to change, but the basics remain same. But change is essential to ensure that we are able to have a dynamic system of teacher education. With these remarks, my 5 minutes are over, so I would like Dr. Harshad Patel to please come and give his ideas, and I'm sure somebody will be maintaining time there. डॉक्टर पटेल।
नमस्ते सर।
नमस्ते।
एसोसिएशन ऑफ इंडियन यूनिवर्सिटी द्वारा आयोजित वेस्ट जोन वाइस चांसलर मीट के ये प्रथम टेक्निकल सेशन के चेयरपर्सन और शिक्षा व्यवस्था से जुड़े हम सबके वंदनीय आदरणीय डॉक्टर JS राजपूत सर, कई दशकों से देश की शिक्षा प्रणाली में उनका योगदान रहा है और आज भी हमें वो मार्गदर्शित करते रहे हैं। ऐसे राजपूत सर को मेरा शत शत प्रणाम। मेरे साथ इस सेशन में स्पीकर के तौर पे जुड़े हुए त्रिपाठी जी, रजीता बेन जी, यजमान यूनिवर्सिटी और पूरी AIU की जो टीम और इस वर्चुअल माध्यम से जुड़े सभी कुलपति महोदय, सबको मेरा नमस्कार। इस सभा में मेरे विचार और अवलोकन साझा करने के लिए आमंत्रण देने के लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। सबसे पहले तो मैं अपने आप को गौरवान्वित महसूस कर रहा हूं, क्योंकि जब राजपूत सर ने बताया, किरीट जोशी जी को याद किया, नरेंद्र भाई मोदी जी को याद किया कि टीचर एजुकेशन में न्यू अप्रोच क्या है, तो IIT इसके लिए ही स्थापित की गई थी। तो मुझे बहुत ही खुशी है कि आज राजपूत सर ने IIT और उसकी स्थापना के बारे में सबको अपने विचार जो है वो प्रकट किए। जब IIT की स्थापना हो रही थी तब शिक्षा का माध्यम क्या होना चाहिए, तब किरीट जोशी जी ने बताया था कि शिक्षा का माध्यम कला होना चाहिए जो व्यक्तित्व को, अपने आप को निखार सके। हम इस सत्र में राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति के संदर्भ में शिक्षक प्रशिक्षण क्षेत्र में एक नए दृष्टिकोण के बारे में चर्चा कर रहे हैं। गत साल पूरे विश्व में कोरोना की चर्चा हुई, तो हमारे देश में कोरोना और राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति की चर्चा हुई। 3 दशक के बाद पेंडेमिक के बीच प्रस्तुत की गई इस नीति ने पूरे देश में एक उत्सुकता और बदलाव की खास आस जगाई हुई है। नए दृष्टिकोण में शिक्षा व्यवस्था में जितना जरूरी है बदलाव, उतना शिक्षा प्रक्रिया में बदलाव जरूरी है और शिक्षा प्रक्रिया में इस महत्व को राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति में शामिल किया गया है। जब हम शिक्षक प्रशिक्षण की बात करते हैं तो सिर्फ चैप्टर 15 के बारे में सीमित नहीं रहेंगे, क्योंकि स्कूल एजुकेशन के सारे चैप्टर्स इस शिक्षा व्यवस्था से टीचर एजुकेशन के साथ जुड़े हुए हैं। स्कूल एजुकेशन में 5+3+3+4 जो पेडागोजिकल और पाठ्यक्रम संरचना पर आधारित है, इसके लिए प्रवर्तमान टीचर एजुकेशन की व्यवस्था में और उसकी प्रक्रिया में बदलाव लाना खूब जरूरी है। अभी प्रवर्तमान स्थिति क्या है, तो प्री स्कूल या स्कूली व्यवस्था में हमें क्वालिफाइड टीचर नहीं मिल रहे हैं, कॉम्पिटिटिव टीचर नहीं मिल रहे हैं और दूसरी ओर लाखों B.Ed डिग्रीधारी युवा चारों ओर नजर आते हैं। 15 सालों में, गत 15 सालों में 15,000 से ज्यादा टीचर एजुकेशन कॉलेज को मान्यता दी गई। आज सालाना 3 लाख टीचर की हमारे देश की आवश्यकता है और कॉलेजेस से 19 लाख से ज्यादा टीचर, यानी कि 6 टाइम डिग्रियां हम ज्यादा टीचर्स को दे रहे हैं। मैं ये परिस्थितियां और जो भी वर्तमान स्थिति है, मैं आपके सामने इसलिए रखना चाह रहा हूं क्योंकि हमें किस मोड पे जाना है। जब सुप्रीम कोर्ट द्वारा गठित JS वर्मा कमीशन ने भी 2012 में बताया था कि 10,000 से ज्यादा स्टैंड अलोन जो कॉलेजेस हैं वो डिग्रियां बांट रही हैं, बेच रही हैं। ये उसका दूसरा प्रमाण है। आज उस रिपोर्ट को भी 8 साल हो गए हैं। हम देखते हैं कि B.Ed में यूनिवर्सिटी एग्जाम में 95 से ज्यादा रिजल्ट्स आते हैं, लेकिन हम जब CTET के रिजल्ट्स पिछले 10 एग्जाम्स के देखें तो कहीं ना कहीं 10%, 15%, 25% से ऊपर नहीं पहुंचे हैं। इसका मतलब है 70% जो क्लास है वो पढ़ाई का हिस्सा बनना नहीं चाह रहे हैं, नहीं बनते हैं। अभी तक 30% संस्थानों ने, जो टीचर एजुकेशन इंस्टीट्यूशन है, उन्होंने PAR अपना जमा नहीं किया है, परफॉर्मेंस अप्रेजल रिपोर्ट। ये इस बात का प्रमाण है कि स्टैंड अलोन इंस्टीट्यूशंस, नॉन अटेंडिंग स्टूडेंट्स और PAR जमा नहीं करने वाले इंस्टीट्यूशंस, और ये सारे फिगर्स हमें ये बता रहे हैं कि हमें किस नए अप्रोच के साथ जाना है। ये सारे संस्थान एट पार नहीं है। हमारे आसपास हैं, रास्ते हमारे पास हैं, क्योंकि कई बार एनसीटीई, यूनिवर्सिटीज और इंस्टीट्यूशंस इसकी संकलन और विसंकलन की वजह से हम ऐसा कह सकते हैं कि ये हमारे बस की बात नहीं है। लेकिन जब हम एज अ यूनिवर्सिटी के वाइस चांसलर हैं तो हमारा जिम्मा है, हमारी जवाबदारी है, सोशल हमारा कंट्रीब्यूशन है कि जब एनसीटी रिकॉग्निशन देती है लेकिन एडमिशंस की प्रोसेस और जो मॉनिटरिंग की प्रोसेस है वो यूनिवर्सिटी के पास है। हमें करिकुलम ट्रांजैक्शन के बारे में सोचना है, क्योंकि जैसे ही राजपूत सर ने बताया कि जब टीचर एजुकेटर्स अच्छे होंगे तो टीचर्स अच्छे होंगे, अब टीचर्स अच्छे होंगे तो ही देश का भला होगा, करोड़ों बच्चों का भविष्य हमारे सामने है। तो नीति में भी कहा गया है कि भी स्टैंड अलोन नॉन फंक्शनल संस्थानों को बंद करना पड़ेगा। हम ऐसी कई संस्थाएं हमारी यूनिवर्सिटी में देखते हैं लेकिन नजरअंदाज करते हैं। तो मेरा सभी वाइस चांसलर से ये निवेदन भी है कि हम अपनी संस्थानों के बारे में भी जरा सोचें, क्योंकि आगे जाके उनको कंपोजिट यूनिट या अंडर ग्रेजुएट जो संस्थान चलाते हैं उसको 4 साल में प्रोग्राम के लिए तैयार करना है, कन्वर्ट करना है। हम अपनी यूनिवर्सिटी के जितने एफिलिएटेड बीएड कॉलेजेस हैं उसके मैनेजमेंट और अध्यापकों से कब मिले, कब दौरा किया, ये भी एक सोचने वाली बात है। नए अप्रोच में हमें ये सब देखना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी हमें भविष्य की राह दिखाती है। क्या हम क्लेट और केट, इवन आरआई के सारे कॉलेजेस जिस प्रकार से एडमिशन की प्रोसेस करते हैं, तो क्या हम मिलके एंट्रेंस टेस्ट के माध्यम से एडमिशन प्रोसेस नहीं कर सकते? मान लीजिए एनटीए इस प्रोसेस को करेगा, लेकिन तब तक हम ये कर सकते हैं, हम साथ में मिलके कर सकते हैं। एनसीएफटी 2009 हमारे पास है, नया एनसीटी नेक्स्ट ईयर आएगा, तब तक हमारे पास एनईपी है, तो करिकुलम फ्रेमवर्क हम तैयार कर सकते हैं। शेड्यूल 8 में जिस भारतीय भाषाओं के बारे में कहा गया है, तो हम उस भाषाओं का अध्ययन हमारे टीचर्स के लिए जोड़ सकते हैं। इसके लिए हमें 1 साल राह देखने की जरूरत नहीं है, क्योंकि जो एनईपी में कहा गया है 4 ईयर एकीकृत बीएड पाठ्यक्रम, तो उसमें मल्टीलिंगुअल और मल्टी डायमेंशनल मल्टी फैकल्टीज की जो बात है, तो विविध विद्या शाखाओं या शिक्षक प्रशिक्षण दोनों को जोड़ के हमें ऐसे टीचर तैयार करने हैं जो एनईपी में 4 स्तर के शिक्षा व्यवस्था में हमें काम में आ सके। वो प्री प्राइमरी हो, फाउंडेशनल कोर्स हो, सेकेंडरी एजुकेशन हो, क्योंकि हमें टीचर प्रिपेयर करना है चारों विभाग के लिए। तो हमें एज अ यूनिवर्सिटी ये देखना पड़ेगा कि उसके लिए हम सर्टिफिकेट, डिप्लोमा या डिग्री, क्योंकि प्री सर्विस की व्यवस्था करें या इन सर्विस की व्यवस्था करें, एज अ यूनिवर्सिटी हमें उस प्रकार की 4 ईयर इंटीग्रेटेड कोर्स के बारे में सोचना पड़ेगा। अभी फिलहाल जितने भी अपेंडिक्स हैं, आईटीईपी हो या अपेंडिक्स 17 हो, उसमें लेटरल एंट्री और लेटरल एग्जिट का प्रोविजन नहीं है। तो हमें साथ मिलकर ये सोचना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि हमें एज पर एनईपी सर्टिफिकेट, डिग्री या डिप्लोमा हमें उनको देना है। क्योंकि कई बार ऐसा होगा कि जो फाउंडेशनल कोर्स में एज अ टीचर जुड़े हैं, 2 साल के बाद एज पर प्रोविजन उनको सेकेंडरी टीचर में जाना है, तो हमारे पास उस प्रकार की व्यवस्था हमें करनी पड़ेगी कि हम उसको सर्टिफिकेट कोर्स ज्वाइन कर सकें। क्योंकि अब क्वालिटी टीचर की खूब आवश्यकता है। जैसे एनसीटीई ने टीईटी का प्रोविजन किया था, हमने देखा कि जो पाठ्यक्रम बीएड का है वही टीईटी एग्जामिनेशन में है, और टीईटी का रिजल्ट हमें वो सोचने को मजबूर कर रहा है कि हमारी करिकुलम ट्रांजैक्शन की प्रोसेस किस प्रकार से चल रही है। इसलिए तो एनईपी में टीईटी के साथ वाइवा या डेमोन्स्ट्रेशन लेसन का प्रोविजन रखा है। मुझे बहुत खुशी है, क्योंकि आने वाली पीढ़ी के लिए एक अच्छे टीचर को हम अपॉइंट कर पाएंगे। अभी पहले सेशन में नेक के एडवाइजर बात कर रहे थे, तो मैं उनको सुन रहा था कि टीचर एजुकेशन में ऐसा हुआ कि शुरुआत में एनसीटी और नेक का एमओयू हुआ था, बाद में क्यूसीआई आया, फिर वो भी कोर्ट के चक्कर में फ्रीज हो गया। अब दोबारा नेक की प्रोसेस से टीचर एजुकेशन इंस्टीट्यूशंस वो एक्रेडिटेशन में जा पाएंगे। लेकिन NIRF रैंकिंग में टीचर एजुकेशन का प्रोविजन नहीं है। लास्ट ईयर हमने कंसल्टेशन करके एज अ जनरल यूनिवर्सिटी हमारी यूनिवर्सिटी के लिए हमने NIRF में अप्लाई किया था, लेकिन टीचर एजुकेशन इंस्टीट्यूट को उसमें शामिल करना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि हमें कॉम्पिटिटिव में बना के उसको समग्र विश्व में रखना है। ज्यादातर यूनिवर्सिटीज में आर्ट, साइंस, कॉमर्स उस प्रकार की फैकल्टीज जो हैं, उसके साथ टीचर एजुकेशन होने के कारण 1+7 सप्तर्षि दिखने को नहीं मिल रहे हैं, तो वो प्रायोरिटी के लिस्ट में एज ए यूनिवर्सिटी नहीं आ पा रहे हैं। तो मेरे सबसे निवेदन है कि आप एजुकेशन फैकल्टी के बारे में ज्यादा से ज्यादा सोचें और उनके साथ सलाह मशवरा करें, क्योंकि बीएड हायर एजुकेशन में भी है और प्रोफेशनल की श्रेणी में भी है, और पॉलिसी ये बदलाव के लिए हमें कह रहा है। आज जब पेंडेमिक की वजह से पूरा विश्व जो है वो ऑनलाइन टीचिंग का मुहावरा कर चुका है, तो और उसमें हमारे टीचर्स भी बाकात नहीं है, तो टीचर एजुकेटर एंड प्रोस्पेक्टिव टीचर ट्रेनी सभी लोग अब ब्लेंडेड मोड से पढ़ाने के लिए तैयार हो चुके हैं। तो ब्लेंडेड मोड में हम मुक प्लेटफॉर्म, इंटरनेट रेडियो या टीवी प्लेटफॉर्म ऐसे डिजिटल माध्यम का ई कंटेंट तैयार कर पाए, तो मुझे लगता है कि पूरे देश के टीचर्स के लिए एक आशीर्वाद रूप होगा। जैसे कि हम नेटवर्किंग की बात कर रहे हैं स्कूल्स के साथ, तो ज्यादातर टीचर एजुकेशन इंस्टीट्यूशंस सिर्फ प्रैक्टिस टीचिंग और इंटर्नशिप के दौरान ही स्कूल के साथ संबंध रखते हैं। तो मुझे लग रहा है कि हमारा कम्युनिटी आउटरीच हर साल ऐसा होना चाहिए, जिसके कारण लीडरशिप और नए आयाम की जानकारी के लिए स्कूल के टीचर, स्कूल के मैनेजमेंट को और स्कूल परिसर से हमें यूनिवर्सिटी कैंपस में उनको बुलाना चाहिए, क्योंकि तालमेल से ही, क्योंकि टीचर एजुकेशन की व्यवस्था ही वो स्कूल एजुकेशन की व्यवस्था पे रिफ्लेक्शन डाल सकता है। आज हमारे लिए एक अवसर बना है, क्योंकि स्कूली शिक्षा में ड्रॉप आउट जो कम होगा तो शिक्षकों की ज्यादा आवश्यकता होगी। जैसे हम कह रहे हैं कि GER हमारा 50 होना चाहिए। अब GER 50 तभी होगा जब सेकेंडरी एंड हायर सेकेंडरी स्कूल एजुकेशन में बच्चे का ड्रॉप आउट कम होगा। जब बच्चे के ड्रॉप आउट कम होंगे तो अटेंशन उनका बढ़ेगा, इसके कारण टीचर्स की डिमांड भी बढ़ेगी। और अब तक 1 से 12 तक की जो व्यवस्था थी उसमें 2 और स्टैंडर्ड जुड़ चुके हैं, इसके कारण टीचर्स की डिमांड रहेगी। फिलहाल पूरे विश्व में 74 कंट्रीज ऐसे हैं जिनको टीचर की खूब जरूरत है। सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट गोल के हिसाब से पूरे विश्व में 69 मिलियन टीचर्स की रिक्वायरमेंट है, और ज्यादातर तो गणित, विज्ञान और लैंग्वेज टीचर की पूरे विश्व को जरूरत है। पहले ऐसे होता था कि आपने ग्रेजुएशन कर लिया, पोस्ट ग्रेजुएशन कर लिया, तो किसी को पूछेंगे तो वो कहेंगे, रेफरेंस देते हैं, कुछ नहीं तो आप बीएड कर लीजिए। लेकिन अब बीएड एज अ रेफरेंस नहीं, लेकिन एज अ प्रेफरेंस होना चाहिए। तो 4 ईयर इंटीग्रेटेड कोर्स जो बच्चा 12वीं के बाद आएगा तो उसके लिए संभावना बहुत बड़ी होगी, और सब इंस्टीट्यूशंस को 2030 तक उसमें परिवर्तित होना है। आज बहुत सारे इंजीनियर, कॉरपोरेट कंपनी के CEO भारतीय मूल्य के हैं। वैसे ही विश्व में कई देश में हमारे टीचर हो सकते हैं। अभी राजपूत साहब बता रहे थे, मुझे बहुत खुशी है कि हमारे 12 टीचर्स अभी कुवैत में काम कर रहे हैं। इन फ्यूचर, जैसे मोदी जी ने IIT की जो कल्पना की थी, तब कहा था कि क्या हम टीचर्स एक्सपोर्ट नहीं कर सकते, उसके बारे में कुछ संभावनाएं हमें देखने को मिल रही हैं। जैसे कि थोड़े ही दिनों पहले महाराष्ट्र के रणजीत दिशाले को ग्लोबल टीचर अवार्ड मिला। उस प्रकार से मुझे उम्मीद है कि एक दिन जरूर ऐसा आएगा कि टाइम मैगजीन के टाइटल पेज पर हमारी सरकारी प्राइमरी स्कूल की शिक्षिका का फोटो हो सकता है। अब ये पूरी व्यवस्था नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी की वजह से हमें दिख रही है। जब न्यू अप्रोच हम करेंगे तो न्यू अपॉर्चुनिटी हमारे सामने आएगी। मुझे लग रहा है ये न्यू अप्रोच हमारा नेशनल अप्रोच टू टीचर एजुकेशन बनेगा, तो एक दिन हमारा ये सपना पूरा होगा। मुझे यहाँ अपने विचार रखने का जो सौभाग्य प्राप्त हुआ, इसके लिए मैं AIU और जयपुर यूनिवर्सिटी का आभारी हूं। पुनः सबको वंदन करते हुए जय हिंद।
प्रोफेसर पटेल,
जी सर।
आपको बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। आपने जो चीजें बताई हैं उन पर अंत में मैं कुछ बातें तो कहूंगा, लेकिन एक बात मैं कह दूं।
जी सर।
अगर 2030 तक सारे देश में 4 वर्षीय पाठ्यक्रम के द्वारा ही अध्यापक तैयार होने हैं, तो आपकी जिम्मेदारी सारे देश के प्रति बढ़ गई है। अब केवल गुजरात तक आप सीमित नहीं रह सकते। सारे संस्थान जो अपने यहाँ 4 वर्षीय पाठ्यक्रम चलाएंगे, वे आपकी तरफ देखेंगे, आपसे कुछ कुछ सीखना चाहेंगे। और ये छोटी जिम्मेदारी नहीं है। आप हैं, कुछ रीजनल इंस्टीट्यूट्स हैं, बहुत छोटी संख्या है जो इसमें आगे दिशा निर्देश दे सकते हैं। मेरा ख्याल है मैं अब प्रोफेसर त्रिपाठी को बुलाता हूँ। इस संस्थान से मैं अभी कुछ दिन पहले जुड़ा हूँ और मुझे अच्छा लग रहा है कि ये संस्थान केवल स्कूल के शिक्षकों के बारे में ही बात नहीं करेगा, ये इस पर भी ध्यान देगा और विश्वविद्यालय के अध्यापकों से मिलकर देगा कि विश्वविद्यालय और महाविद्यालय के कॉलेजेस के लिए भी क्या इनपुट्स चाहिए हमारे अध्यापकों के लिए कि वे अच्छे अध्यापक बन सकें। प्रोफेसर त्रिपाठी।
धन्यवाद। At the outset, I express my deep sense of gratitude to the organization for giving me this opportunity, and I place my highest respect and regards to the chairperson of this session, Professor J.S. Rajput Sahab, who is the chairperson of the governing board of the Inter-University Center for Teacher Education, and all the distinguished academicians from various universities, honorable vice chancellors, and the host of this entire program, the Jaipur National University, honorable vice chancellor H.N. Verma Sahab, Shukla ji, and the convener of the entire program is Dr. Mittal Madam. Thanks a lot for giving me this opportunity. As far as the today's discussion, which is broadly, it is reimagining education and vocational education, professional education. But this particular session, we are talking about the new approach to teacher education. In fact, as it is mentioned that I'm going to talk about the higher education as well, the honorable chairperson. Exactly what I wanted to say that the teacher education concept itself, it was established concept in the school education, but in the higher education system, hardly we talk about teacher education. And even I recall that when by this institution, Inter-University Center for Teacher Education, which was established, and foundation of this institution was led by Honorable Prime Minister of the India in 2014, and I took over as a first director in 2016 late. And then when we started discussion about the teacher education in higher education, perhaps I was not being recognized, my statements were not being recognized even at very responsible forum as well. I recall it. Even the same kind of vice chancellors meet when it was in 2018, it was not being properly recognized. But I'm happy that now the NEP 2020 has given ample scope and ample space for teacher education in higher education. And we in our institution right from beginning have started focusing on the teacher education in higher education system, looking into the past, what had been so far in India post-independence as far as the researches in this area and the kind of work which had been taking place. And we have now so far collected good account of work on that. And I believe that you all know about the various kind of contributions which were highlighted briefly. Honorable Chairperson, Professor J.S. Rajput, during his tenure as Director of NCERT, he has given a very vast experience to us that how this entire review process is going to be useful. And he established there itself that a new dimension, that collection of educational reviews on the, especially on the various aspects of teacher education, and that was also helpful to us. And then we have approached for the new dimensions which are going on throughout the world during these days, and we have now started working on that. Now the NEP has given certain focus on the teacher education. That point is also well known to all of you, but just I would like to highlight a few. That if you see the entire thing which is on teacher education, especially in NEP, is like focusing on right from learning outcome-based curriculum framework, where we shift from content to outcome-based education. There is a shift now in the accreditation and the ranking process. Now there is an entry, the infusion of liberal arts, multidisciplinary, multiple exit, multiple entry, and then credit bank, all such kind of system, which is now giving different kind of a scope and a different kind of teachers education perspective. So we have to prepare quality teacher for that, and that is a bigger challenge before the country. So I think that is the most important point today when we are gathering over here with the vice chancellors of all the universities. Then we have to look into that whether the teacher education aspect in higher education has also been in the ambit of the study and researches of the education department in the universities, and we have to focus on that. And now this area should not be only limited to the teacher education institutions and the education department, rather the other department where the new pedagogy, new kind of curricular approach are being focused, they should also be having that kind of opportunity, which perhaps we have also submitted as an advisory, that how the department should also take in science education, in social science education, in language education, some kind of researches on that. And then they can see that in their own subject area, how this new approach of multidisciplinary, when we have to prepare about that, infusion of liberal arts, learning outcome-based curriculum, how we can introduce all these, and then our teacher could be trained in that direction and be capable to prepare our learner for that. So these are the challenges, and for that we have also worked, and we have several interaction. Some of the recommendations we have prepared, and just I would like to highlight a few. That now this approach has a new kind of concept, and for that we need institutional mechanism, that there is an advisory system, that the teacher and the learner both are given proper kind of direction, that how this multidisciplinary, how this infusion, how this integration, flexibility could be implemented, and what kind of framework need to be prepared. So that is first, which we have talked about. Then this integrated curriculum should be given also lot of flexibility to the teachers, that they can innovate. And for that kind of innovation, they should be given proper support and some kind of research fund also. So that direction also we have to look into, that the faculty should be given that kind of opportunity to go proceed on that. Then the third point which we have looked into, that the autonomy should also be given, because so far we have certain limitations. So when we are talking about that kind of flexibility and multidisciplinary, then some kind of autonomy is required at the institutional level and even at the departmental level. So this is third point which we talked about that. Then we also looked into that we are talking about that how to bring in our ancient Indian knowledge system, how to bring in our own cultural heritage. So this kind of integration, how to bring in across the discipline, that is the bigger challenge, and which is highlighted in the NEP. So in the higher education system, this challenge, how to meet and how to look into that, this should also be looked by the universities with the education department as well as with the content department. So this is another point. Then we also, as mentioned by Professor Patel also, that now we have entered into a new era, new dimensions of teaching learning. It's not only with the COVID has given more opportunity and more scope for that, and because of the limitation, but right from the beginning of this government, when the digital learning has come into the place, we are moving forward in that direction. So how to integrate that ICT mechanism so that we can provide that training in such a way that more and more opportunity for teachers to design themselves and to innovate themselves, that should also be there. So currently what mechanism we have, that the HRDCs and the institution of Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya National Mission for Teacher and Teaching, which they are providing to the higher education system, that also need to be relooked, redesigned, and certain new kind of establishment has to be made so that it could be seen differently, not as it is now doing as a routine work. So, and this is also well reported that the impact of the training, how far it has gone to the grassroots level, because we are not limited to the universities. We have to see the colleges which are there in the remote places. So how to provide that kind of opportunity and that kind of scope to them, this is also a big challenge before us. So these are the various things which we have talked about. And then we finally look into holistically, then what we find that the curricular approach and pedagogical approach, everything in the school education system as we have, or even at B.Ed level what we have, we should also have a quality teacher and teaching kind of curriculum framework for the higher education. And the Inter-University Center for Teacher Education, being an apex institution for that, we are ready to soldier that responsibility, and we have submitted our project and proposals also, and this is well given in the vision document. So at this forum, I would like to flag it in this way, that this kind of curriculum framework would provide a broader scope for the entire universities and the teachers and the faculties in the different areas, disciplines, to look into things that how to and what kind of guidelines, what kind of various steps to be looked into to promote and to provide opportunity for the new teaching learning areas. So these are the various things which we have been working and we are looking for. And for that, I'm very thankful that at this forum, when we are talking about the teacher education per se higher education system, then we have to look into the NEP, all such kind of recommendation, challenges, and then how to look into the problems to be solved at various institutional level and the overall at the system level, governance level. So this is what I wanted to mention before all of you. Thank you very much. Sir, आप unmute.
Professor Rajput, you need to unmute.
Thank you very much, Professor Tripathi. I'm sure that in years to come, this particular dimension of the extension of teacher preparation and elements that every teacher should be aware of and how to make them aware of all the requirements shall receive a lot of attention in universities, teacher education institutions, and other places also. After all, we are talking about who to teach. There are three other dimensions: what to teach, how to teach, and whom to teach. Now, these dimensions, every department of the university can contribute, be it Department of Science, be it departments of mathematics, and other things. I like mentioning it that for curriculum, when Einstein once said that if I had my way, I would begin with teaching only with science, mathematics, and music, nothing else. So there are a lot of ideas will now come up in years to come with this pedagogical changes that have come to us. Now I have the privilege of inviting Professor Rajita Kulkarni, President of Sri Sri University, Cuttack. Sri Sri has motivated thousands and thousands of young people in the country. And that is something which impresses everyone. His ideas are so new, innovative, and pragmatic that we have to be very keen to listen to Dr. Rajita in this forum. Dr. Rajita.
Namaste. Good afternoon to everybody. Firstly, a big thank you to our host, Jaipur National University, for the fantastic hosting of this very important platform, and to your team for the great coordination already. Dr. Verma, Dr. Shukla, thank you very much. Dr. Pankaj Mittal and the entire Association of Indian Universities, thank you for the invitation. Respected Professor J.S. Rajput ji, it is a matter of great pride for me and great honor to share the stage with you today. You are such a doyen of in the field of education, and you have been a role model for thousands of us. So great honor for me. Dr. Tripathi, good to see you again and good to share the stage with you. You were part of the inauguration of our Ancient Knowledge System program in Shish University, and very happy to share the stage with you here as well, Dr. Harshad Patel. Dr. Patel, आपके विचार सुन के भी बहुत एक ऊर्जा जैसे आ गई, बहुत अच्छा लगा. Thank you very much, and बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है आपके साथ इस स्टेज पे आज रह के. And good afternoon to all the respected vice chancellors, presidents of different universities. It's a good opportunity for all of us to reflect on this very important topic that we have chosen today, which is on teacher education. I come from the field of banking, where our DNA is trained to think about the customer and the customer's interest, and how we keep the customer or the client at the center of everything we do, so that all our products, all our policies, all our procedures, everything is oriented towards the customer and how the customer should experience us. When I moved into education 10 years ago, and I had to relearn the entire from the basics, I realized more and more that our customer, who sometimes gets forgotten in the busyness of all the great things we do, our customer is the student. And I remember when our university started, we are a very young university, just 7-8 years old. One of the things I said, we should have a student satisfaction survey. There was a bit of an uproar around, and they said, oh, you know what, ma'am, if you start asking students things, then they will tell you all kinds of things. But I realized more and more that if we are not focusing on what our students need and what, when they graduate from our institutions, what purpose they serve to either the industry they are part of or the enterprise they start for themselves, I think we are not serving our most important stakeholder right. So I have a few thoughts completely centering around our most important stakeholder, which is our student. You know, the famous thought leader and author Daniel Pink, in one of his recent books, has said very beautifully, and I quote, that we are moving from an economy in the world and a society built on the logical, linear, computer-like capabilities of the information age to an economy and society built on the inventive, empathic, big picture capabilities of the conceptual age. If you look at any research that is coming out today about the skills that are required, are going to be required of our students, there are 5-7 big themes that come out, irrespective of the program our students learn, whether it's a sciences student or an art student or a medical student or whichever student, the foundational subject apart, there are 5-6 big themes of skills that our students are going to require to navigate in the world they will enter. The first is the skill of design. The second is the skill of storytelling, communication, storytelling. The third is the skill of symphony, the ability to find meaning and create meaning out of disparate pieces of information. Then is the skill of empathy, the skill of play, the ability to play and interplay, and the skill of meaning. Today, as we all know, information is no longer capital. You know, all of us as teachers are challenged in our classrooms when we share something and our student is able to go to Google or somewhere else and tell us, no, but ma'am, this is what it says. So information is no longer a capital, but the ability to derive meaning out of that is a skill and a capital very much required in the world today. So if our students were to be needing to have these skills, then what are the skills our teachers need to have to be able to nourish and nurture these skills in our students? You know, the whole of last year in the pandemic, we have all been catalyzed, I think, as a humanity. Satya Nadella said famously that what could have been done in 2 years happened in 2 months. I think all of us have experienced more than that. And I think the entire education community has to be lauded for the very rapid response in the way we went online and the way we were able to respond to the needs of our students by virtual teaching, blended teaching. So if we were to look at what is happening to the world compressed by the experience of the pandemic, and if we were look at in India, what are going to be the demands of us as educators, propelled by the NEP, which coincidentally both things happened in the same year last year. I think there are a number of asks out of what our teachers need to be prepared to be able to do. And I have a few thoughts on that. Number one, I think now more than ever, Dr. Tripathi, you mentioned about the multidisciplinary, multilingual compulsions now that will be required out of our teachers. So, given the NEP outline, so the first thing I feel our teachers need to be able to deliver is a sort of a whole brain integrated thinking, not left, not right, whole brain integration. In fact, Professor Rajput, you very correctly spoke about Puja Gurudev's inspiration and impact in the youth of the world today. At a younger age, which is under 16, we are teaching today in the Art of Living a program called Medha Yoga, which helps children even activate the midbrain. So you have a classroom of kids who, because of their meditation practice, have both brains active, and now they have the midbrain active, which allows them to tap into their intuition, tap into their creativity at a scale that a teacher who is 35 or 40 years old is not able to do. So how does a teacher respond to, or then inspire a child in her class who is probably using much more of his or her brain capacity than the teacher herself or himself? So my first ask, I think, of all of us is, as teachers, what can we do to get a full brain, left, right, and midbrain integration? I think that is something we need to think about. That's point number one. Point number two, I think now more than ever, through all that we are doing, I think it's the time for us as teachers to be student teachers, not teacher teachers, but student teachers. Because gone is the time we can say that I graduated at 20 and that will last me till I turn 80. If you look at all the medical science research, pandemic aside, it is said that average age will extend to 100 or even 120. So average working time will be 80 years of age. In that, we are supposed to, or it is said that we will have 6 careers in our lifetime. So as a teacher, am I a student teacher? Am I continuously learning? Because today, I'm sure all of us agree, the little kids in our house know better to operate the gadgets than us. My 7-year-old nephew teaches me more things about the iPhone than I know myself. So we are faced with a escalating and a galloping technology, and kids which are born in this time and age with that DNA. So are we going to be student teachers, and how can we be student teachers? Number three, I think the pandemic showed us, I see that happening, Professor Rajput. We have about 800 schools which we run in the remotest parts of India. These are free schools. We have about 85,000 kids in these schools. And here, Professor Rajput, the teaching doesn't happen in the classroom only. It happens as much beyond the classroom. And I see that because of the pandemic, somehow this has moved to our city schools, city colleges and universities. And I think this will be more the norm. So how are our teachers going to be equipped to teach beyond classrooms? That's the third thing I think that faces us. The fourth thing I think that faces us is a rapidly changing role of a teacher. I don't think any of us, I mean, we will all agree that teachers are no longer sharers of information. You know, when we went to school, the teacher was my only source of information, apart from that couple of books available in the class, in the library. Today, that is no longer the case. The teacher's role is becoming more a facilitator, a mentor, a coach role. So, are we preparing our teachers to play that role where you're not just sharing information, because information is available everywhere, but for how our teachers can become facilitators of decoding, debriefing, and understanding of that information. So I think that is another ask of us. And Dr. Rajput, you said this in the beginning, so I won't say more on that. But teaching to learn and not just learning a subject. I think that how do we build that skill in a teacher that the teacher can teach to learn? Because that is going to be very, very crucial in all our corporate engagements, Professor Rajput, when we engage with industry. One of the complaints industry always has of universities and our students is that we are not preparing students for what they want as an input. So we are now, partnering with you, with corporates, and saying, you tell us what you want them to have, and we will then accordingly coach them so they become usable for you. Otherwise, companies like Infosys and TCS don't need to have again universities of their own to teach. So these are a few, I think, environmental compulsions that are challenging us to rethink how we are preparing the teachers, and few very quick ideas on what can be done. I think we need to necessarily ensure multilingual training now. The NEP is requiring us to have that. In our schools, we have a Shraddha and a Medha training in our urban schools, which are about 48 of them, where our teachers are encouraged to have at least 2 proficiencies of languages. Number 2, I think happiness and a sense of mental well-being. I think the need for that has come to the fore more than ever during the pandemic. I was recently reading a report which said that 33% of teachers in Europe are in different stages of depression. Now, if our teachers are depressed, what are the chances they can infuse our children with joy and a sense of enthusiasm for life? So, how can our teachers themselves get tools and techniques to strengthen their sense of spirit, or ground themselves in a state of mental well-being and happiness? So I think meditation, self-reflection, we do that, Professor Rajput, in our university. We start our annual academic year with a 3-day silence retreat where all our teachers and students participate together, and with that we continue. So I think some we have seen the benefits of that, and I will definitely encourage and recommend this to everybody, all my colleagues. Number 3, I think agility and being proactive. Agility is the currency of relevance. If we are not agile, I think we are no longer relevant. So how our teachers can be prepared and again taught to be agile. We have mandated that all our teachers should learn one new skill every year, whether it is public speaking, whether it is storytelling, whether it is writing, whether it is presentation skills. One of the things we have now had to compulsorily learn is anyways navigating the technology very well. All of us have experienced last year that some of our younger faculty members were faster in moving to virtual teaching than some of our senior faculty members. So how can we learn a skill every year? Multicultural, multi-country experience. All of us who have experience of, I have spent a lot of time in Europe and Scandinavia. I have deep respect for some of the most disruptive techniques of teaching they have, learning they have. So how can we expose our children and our teachers more, whether it's the vocational training base in Germany or Japan or Scandinavia, Singapore even. So some sort of exchanges and multicultural exposure. And lastly, I think mandated by the state of our world today, some peace education and some multi-religious exposure, so that we become more accepting, more respectful, more diversity honoring humans of the world. And I think our teachers need to role model that, because that's what then our children need. So these are a few ideas and thoughts. Some of these we are doing, and I'm really keen to learn more and partner with all the participating members here, and look forward to hearing more from you and your ideas. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rajita. It is indeed a lot of insight that you have presented to us for reimagining and reforming teacher education. You see, when the 1986-92 policy was being implemented, and when I joined the ministry, a joint secretary and advisor to the government, I went to Assam, and every primary school was in India was expected to purchase a harmonium. And the teachers, they told me, if we are allowed to purchase a local musical instruments, that would be fine. I was shocked. Why should we say everywhere we should be a harmonium? And it took about 2 years for me to get it changed. Anyway, that indicates you cannot have a same model or one single model or a single textbook for the entire country. Ideas must be germinated. They must be encouraged. And I thought before I go into this, because Dr. Rita has said a couple of things, I would like to mention Shri Gurudev. I'm not referring to Shri Shri, but to Gurudev Tagore. He has written that every child gets 2 boons at the time of birth. And these are, first, power of ideas, second, power of imagination. And he said education systems always try to impede these two. If this impediment can be erased, a lot would change automatically. So our process, a teacher is expected to know how not to impede the power of ideas and power of imagination. And from this quickly follows the trait of curiosity and creativity. These 4 terms I think is very important, and we could discuss it sometimes. Anyway, now as per the program given to us, this is open for discussion. And I think this program should continue up to 3:40 or so. So there is a lot of time people can express themselves, and I hope they will themselves monitor their duration of time and remarks, so that in the end, a couple of minutes can be taken up to summarize the idea that we have received from our panelist. Dr. Patel has expressed concerns about the quality and those 16,000 new institutions. But sometimes, Professor Patel, we must say what is normally not said. All these 16,000 institutions were approved by visiting committees consisting of our own brethren, teacher educators. They had certified that they are up to the mark. So somewhere introspection is necessary, apart from expecting that many of them will be closed down or not. Everywhere a professional system declines only because of internal weaknesses, not because of external factors. This is my experience. I headed the NCT in 1994. And if you see the first few years, NCT had established its authority, its presence, and we could manage many things. But anyway, the point I'm making, and if you want to know more about this B.Ed, the scandalous part, please Google Bihar B.Ed scandal 1999. And it will reveal a lot of picture of what we have to do. That is what we do. When Professor Tripathi was telling us, I think I have already remarked that every faculty members, whether you are teaching botany in a university, researching in the area, or in neurosciences, or in psychology, you have to contribute to school education and teacher education. What is to be taught should not be determined only by school teachers, but latest knowledge must also be put in that format the child can comprehend it and how it becomes a part of the curriculum. The curriculum development is something which is very, very significant. And I think we will have to do this. Dr. Rajita, I have already mentioned. So friends, those of you who would like to make comments are now free to make their comments. Open discussion.
नमस्कार सर. मैं एक बात जोड़ना चाह रहा था कि जैसे मेरी यूनिवर्सिटी से एफिलेटेड 59 ग्रांटीनेड और गवर्नमेंट इंस्टीट्यूशंस इंक्लूडिंग डायट्स हैं। मैंने दिवाली से पहले एनईपी के हिसाब से सारी इंस्टीट्यूशंस का दौरा किया जो 30 डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स में हैं। उनके मैनेजमेंट और स्टाफ के साथ मीटिंग की। आउट ऑफ 35 ग्रांटीनेड इंस्टीट्यूशंस में से 23 इंस्टीट्यूशंस 4 ईयर इंटीग्रेटेड कोर्स में कन्वर्ट होने के लिए राजी हैं। तो जो आप अभी एक सुझाव दे रहे थे सर कि बड़ा काम है जो 4 ईयर में कन्वर्जन का, क्योंकि बहुत सारी इंस्टीट्यूशंस स्टैंड अलोन होगी, अलग अलग टाइप्स होंगे, ग्रांटीनेड होगा, गवर्नमेंट इंस्टीट्यूशंस एंड प्राइवेट एंड अनएडेड कॉलेजेस होगी। तो मुझे लग रहा है कि सारी यूनिवर्सिटीज में जो अपने जितने भी कॉलेजेस हैं उसमें एनईपी का इस बात का जो हम जिक्र करें तो 2030 से पहले धीरे धीरे करके हम सारे इंस्टीट्यूशंस को इस प्रकार से बदलाव कर सकते हैं।
हाँ, और कौन बोल रहे हैं?
Can I come here, sir?
हाँ, please.
I am Professor Vijay Veer Singh, President at Vivekanand Global University, Jaipur.
Good, please.
Actually, prior to this, I have an experience of almost 35 years in an affiliating university and university administration. Regarding teachers' education, whether teachers are coming for teachers' training, when I saw in then UGC HRDC centers, or you are visiting those colleges which you already showed the concern. But the problem is because NEP talks of the values, ethics, national spirit, national culture, contribution to the society. These values are to be given by either parents or grandparents or school teachers. They are the first point for the interaction of our children. When these teachers who are looking after all the children in schools, they are not trained properly, how we can expect the value system? So first case is, it's a humongous task. Controlling B.Ed colleges is a serious issue. So should be thinking that these colleges should be coming to universities or as teaching department in universities in place of colleges. Thank you.
Before the whole thing was centralized, universities themselves were looking after these institutions. Then we thought it is not working. Now we find that the present system is not working, so we may revert back. I hope after the new policy, a lot of things are being examined so far as regulatory mechanisms are concerned at higher education and school education. So let us hope these suggestions will have their importance in these deliberations that may be followed. Thank you.
May I say, I am
Please.
Gupta from Central University of Rajasthan.
Please.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. It's a pleasure listening to all the extreme panelists. I have one small observation. I really delighted to hear Dr. Kulkarni talked about the customer orientation. One small observation that often some of the private sector university institutions, they take the meaning of the customer to a different level. So as long as it remains one, it is fine. But the more important thing that you mentioned is bridging the gap between the degrees and the industry demands. And that is, I think, very, very pertinent. And to that extent, one major gap that we have discovered in our universities and most of the places, the capacity building of the teachers. While for the school education, there are programs of B.Ed and things like that, we find that young teachers who are inducted into the university system, after doing their PhD or postdoc, they have absolutely no training about how to handle classes and things like that, and takes them about a year or so. And if they are lucky, the HOD kind of takes place. That is one part of it. We have made a small attempt at capacity building of teachers. The national education policy, we had the first program that was inaugurated by Dr. Kasturi Rangan himself. when we gave an overview, and now we have series of 1 week programs, and we have found some amazing responses. More than 400 teachers from all over the country have tried to understand that. And one thing we discovered that almost 80-85% of the responsibility of implementing of NEP lies with the universities at our level, of which I think substantial amount of it lies with the teachers themselves. So one of the amazing things about this policy is that there is very little for the government to do. So nobody can blame that the system is not working for it. Each one of us is responsible for that implementation. So that is one very positive side. And I hope that if we have this capacity building program really strengthened to its vigor, it will make a big difference and we'll be able to implement it very quickly. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have a question to the chairperson, of course, for the panel member as well. This question I have for the last several decades with me, because it's the third university I am working as a Vice Chancellor. Invariably, in the two universities where I have in the public university, I tried my level best to introduce a program by which compulsorily introducing pedagogy as the paper for all the postgraduate students, irrespective of the discipline. See, basically, in India, when students come for postgraduate education, most of them, they aim for teaching profession. When they aim for teaching profession, we are not giving any opportunity to them to learn teaching methods or pedagogy, which are very, very important to become a good and sincere teacher. What is the drawback in our system? We insist B.Ed or M.Ed is a basic qualification to appoint a candidate as a teacher in a school. Whereas, as per University Grants Commission's eligibility regulation, anyone who has 55% of mark in postgraduate degree are eligible to become a assistant professor. Now, of course, we insist PhD and NET and SET as well. I cannot appreciate even the students with the PhD can be a good teacher unless he has some input about what is teaching, what is education, what is teaching methodology. And now what we do, after appointing those type of teachers without any background of education, background of knowledge of education, they are straight away going to the class and teaching the students. Think about teaching is not only mere lecturing or vomiting the subject alone. A teacher should have a knowledge about understanding the students of the class first. We must have a component of psychology and other element of teaching as well. Why? Till this, even the national education policy also, it's not compulsory, making compulsory that one who wants to become a teacher in a college or university should have at least a diploma in education or at least 1 year degree or something like that as the mandatory one. Unless we make it, definitely it is going to be a problem, perennial problem in future as well. Ultimately, students are the victims. Sir, the honorable chairman of the session, you occupied a big position in different forums, especially in the discipline of education. Why such a step not has been initiated? Why UGC is hesitant? Why there is no regulation? Why even national education policy also, there is no compulsion on the part of going for diploma in education, at least diploma in education, before becoming a teacher of a college.
I think, sir, may I speak?
Please. Please.
Perhaps there is a very clear recommendation in the NEP, and we should, as I mentioned in the beginning, that the entire teacher education concept was much limited to the school education. Now in higher education, we clearly and distinctly have two different kind of things. One at the entry level and one in service period. So the concept which is of the teacher education, that pre-service and in-service, of that nature now is applicable in the higher education system also, and it is under the recommendation of the NEP, and it was also being done earlier, for last about 1 and 2 years earlier, that some of the programs have been prepared for the entry level teachers. So I think now it will be a mandatory part, and every teacher who are NET or PhD, they have to first go for that kind of course. And now University Grant Commission has also taken it very seriously, and even the selection committee, after having the selection of the teachers, perhaps it is in process only, that they have to first go for that kind of training and qualify, then only they will be a teacher in the university. So perhaps that system is now coming in the very much in our higher education system, and but we have to prepare ourselves as well as the institutions which are giving this kind of training, with this kind of courses. They have to first prepare themselves that how the teacher and the teacher educator, the very concept of teacher educator should also come over here. So who are going to give that training? All these things are in the process, and perhaps I hope that it is very going to be implemented very soon. Thank you, sir.
Sir, Ganpari's concern has been shared in earlier years also, and now, as Professor Tripathi has indicated, things are taking a shape. Incubation period for the idea has been pretty long, and I hope in future it will not be that long.
It's okay. Right.
Thank you.
So, first of all, let me compliment the chairperson and the three panelists for excellent presentation. Very good presentation was made. But I also feel, sir, that teacher education so far has been treated like a stepchild by the universities. They leave it to the, say, B.Ed colleges, or right now for that specially created teacher training institutions. So the first and foremost thing would be that the universities should start adopting teacher education or B.Ed education as their own children, and then they should feel that this is a part of the higher education system. I mean, at times it becomes nobody's baby, school education or higher education. So it is a higher education. I mean, this should be considered within the system of higher education, and universities should wholeheartedly accept it and then work on teacher education, because that is the feeder cadre which we are getting. I mean, the teachers who are teaching the school students, those school students are our feeder cadre. So we have to accept it wholeheartedly. So unless we implement this part of the policy, because the policy says that the multidisciplinary university should be henceforth be giving the teacher education program, they should be running the teacher education program. But unless this is accepted wholeheartedly by the universities, the teacher education cannot be done much good too. I think so.
That's correct. The Association of Indian Universities could also motivate and inspire university departments and help them wherever they need the help.
Okay. We are there. I mean, we are very much fit, because teacher education is really very important.
There is ample scope, because the policy says that the new education policy must help re-establish teachers. This is one sentence that can be transformed into tremendous amount of activity and action. Because how do you re-establish teachers? That is something very important, and there you have to talk of some basic facts also. For example, the teacher-taught ratio. Everywhere, right from primary school to higher education, we suffer. We are deficient on teacher-taught ratio. And the several of the state universities, if you go and find out and see this whole thing, things are really very, very clear. How do we change this? There is some problem here.
सुनाई दे रहा
Sir
है?
Rajput,
ठीक है.
Rajput, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Yeah. I was just wanting to raise an issue about only the central and the state universities being allowed to set up HRDCs. I think HRDCs are not permitted in the deemed or the private universities. So I think there is a need and a scope for us to also permit any good institution which can offer teacher education. Not teacher education, but I think training of faculty. I think the point that was raised was that while you have the B.Ed program for school teachers, there's almost nothing which is mandated for teachers in universities. And therefore, some training in andragogy is absolutely critical for people who teach, adults. Today, it's techno-pedagogy as well as just teaching in the class. So all the skill sets that Dr. Rajita spoke about is something that one needs to actually train teachers in. So if there are institutions which are beyond the central and the state universities who would like to participate in this, I would urge that they be permitted and that they should be at least given an opportunity to showcase what they are capable of doing.
Only make one mistake. Once a teacher is functioning in a recognized institution, that whatever systems are,
Yes,
there can be no distinction and no discrimination. So
should
far
not
as
be.
special enhancement is concerned. Otherwise, only those who have the authority can comment upon it differently. But as a professional, this is my comment. But what I was trying to say is the teacher-taught ratio. This is something very significant. The policy has taken note of that. No question of these irregular teachers, part-time teachers, invited teachers, guest teachers. We must research and find out as academics and intellectuals how to overcome these issues. These are very significant. Then why the recruitment process takes so much of time? I am very particular that a vice chancellor must be appointed at least a month before the incumbent demits office. And it is possible, it can be done, it is being done in certain cases. So this can be done only if we put enough professional pressure on the system also and activate the system. I'm sure, at least I say it at every forum, that these appointments must be transparent in time and before time. There are many things that can be talked about, but may I invite some more comments and observations? We have still some time.
Dr. Rajput, I want to actually
Please
add to what Dr. Gupte said. In Shri Shri University, ourselves have been trying for the last 2-3 years to set up our own teaching institute for higher education. But somehow there has been some or the other reason that the permissions are not coming through. There is a state case going on. So there are, I completely agree with Dr. Gupte. There is a lot of knowledge and lot of good intent in the country today to do some tangible and really quick steps in this direction. And we seek that we get those equal opportunities.
That's fine. You see, I make a mention what you have said. Let me put it in different, slightly different terminology. I have a personal observation that only about 30% of our children get good quality school education. This is my own, I have my logic for this. Now suppose it could be 35 or 40. And from this 30-40%, we have made a name in NASA in 60s, Silicon Valley in the last 2 decades, and ICT, everybody knows India. Now imagine if all our schools were up to the mark and every child was getting good education, what would have been the magnitude of cognitive capital of this country? Nobody would have matched our cognitive capital if we could improve our schools. So one of the things that I often mention is we need support of every section of the society, every voluntary action initiative that is in good spirit and good niyat, as we say. So as you say, Dr. Rajita, yes, we can get inputs of so many sources, so many institutions, so many places. And no institution is to be rejected so long they are willing to sincerely come up to the level and in quality and efficiency. This is something very important. Somebody else would like to speak? No.
One point about Dr. Rajita's observation. Rajita madam, आपने जो कहा है वो I think that is the concern of the all such kind of institutions. And while implementing the NAP, the government already is in process in formulating the implementation plan. And it's, I think all such kind of observations have been gathered together and it has been given a lot of space and have been circulated to all the institutions, those who are working for that. that we must look into that and create some kind of pathway for implementing it. So perhaps these are the concerns which are, as our chairman has already mentioned, that is very important concern, and these are being looked into the under the recommendation of the NEP 2020. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tripathi.
Any more comments? I think there are no more comments. So the time also, I think we'll have more or less covered this. So,
Sir, permission of chair, I have a question for Professor Tripathi.
Yes, madam, please.
So, we have a well-defined curriculum for school education. Is there any such kind of effort at your Center for Higher Education? And do our HRDCs have a structured curriculum, or they just deliver lectures according to the situation? What is the kind of approach which HRDCs adopt? That is my question.
Thank you very much. And I already mentioned in my deliberation that we have proposed this kind of a quality teacher and teaching national curriculum framework for higher education. And this very important aspect that our HRDC, BHRDC, or even the institutions of the Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya National Mission for Teacher and Teaching, both are imparting the training programs to the faculty of the universities and colleges. So there, this kind of framework would be very helpful, and even it would be helpful for the normal faculty teaching in the universities. So this is also a part of the recommendation. Sir.
Can I add to Professor Tripathi's point?
Please.
Being a director HRDC at University of Rajasthan, actually under Guru Dakshata program, from last year, the curriculum under 10 modules has already been introduced for teachers training. Only concern is that scheme says the teacher should be going training just after joining the university college, before joining, but that is not happening. So curricula is there for teachers training. As far as the reskilling of teachers is concerned, or the refresher courses are concerned, there the curriculum is not fixed because they are area specific. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's right. I think now there are no more comments, perhaps. Huh? Okay. So let me say thanks to all the distinguished participants, panelists, and all others who have made observations, and those who are listening to us. The challenge before us is to achieve an attitudinal transformation. The challenge before us is to have a different work culture. I was very particular in my initial years in academics how Japan could rise to such a level. In 1945-46, Japan was the most humiliated and destroyed nation. I remember as a child that when something purchased from the market was of poor quality, people used to say in the northern Indian cities, Japani mal hai, bekar hai, Japani mal. When I knew nothing about Japan or the World War. So when I grew up, the best items came from Japan. I tried to find out during my visits to Japan how. And what I got was, it is the work culture that makes the difference. They taught everyone that you are working not for yourself or your family, but working for the nation. You are working for Japan. We have come up to this level. Now, if you have to maintain the level and go ahead, you have to work for the nation. So, if a train has to arrive at 8:23 a.m., it will not arrive at 8:24 a.m. If it does, it would be looked into how it was made. A teacher would not go late to the school. A professor would not go late to the university. A medical doctor would be in time at his place of OPD duty. That made the difference. And the second was teachers. Respect our teachers. If you respect teachers, give them the VIP status without making official declarations about it. Teachers make the difference. And as I said in the initial the quality flows from teacher education institutions, and therefore this policy must see that teacher education institutions are staffed by the best of the brains. We must find out how the best brains will drift towards education and not come there unwillingly. That is the issue to be done. That recruitment procedures are streamlined and are transparent. That inordinate delays do not take place. See, Swami Ragnathanan, many of you must be well familiar with him. In one of his lectures, he says, a lay person, an innocent child comes to his school. The teacher transforms him, transforms a person into a personality. That is what is to be achieved. When we had this NCT and I was supposed to find a logo for it, I went to several people. And one of the great scholars, Sri Pandurang Rao, who was with the Gyanpith at that time, he gave me a line of this book in the logo of the NCT and not changed. It says, Gurur Gurtamo Dhamma. A teacher takes a person from humanity to divinity. Humanity to divinity. That is our goal. And therefore, in the end, I would say that all that I get from the new education policy 2020 is हमारे अध्यापकों को गुरु बनना है, हमारे टीचर्स को आचार्य बनना है, जिसका आचरण अनुकरणीय हो, जो बच्चों के लिए आइकॉन होता है। और वो आइकॉन की भावना जब हमारे अंदर आ जाएगी, एक बार आप अध्यापक हैं, आप कहीं पर भी हो, विश्वविद्यालय में हो, कुलपति हो, प्राइमरी में हो, आप देश का निर्माण कर रहे हैं और ऐसा अवसर और किसी को नहीं मिलता है जो आपको मिला हुआ है। गांधी जी ने लिखा, मेरी माँ ने बताया था कि तुम अगर एक किसी का जीवन संवार सकते हो या बचा सकते हो तो तुम्हारा जीवन सफल है। एक से अधिक क्या करते हो तो और अधिक सफल। और हम अध्यापक के रूप में तो कितनों का, सैकड़ों का, हजारों का जीवन संभालते हैं, उसे दिशा देते हैं, आगे बढ़ाते हैं। और इससे बड़ा राष्ट्र निर्माण का कार्य नहीं हो सकता है, इससे बड़ा विकास और प्रगति का रास्ता नहीं हो सकता है। यही बात गांधी जी से जब किसी ने पूछी थी कि आपकी सबसे बड़ी चिंता क्या है, जब भारत आजाद होगा तब शिक्षा में आपका सबसे बड़ा उद्देश्य क्या होगा, तो उन्होंने कहा, मेरा उद्देश्य केवल एक होगा, चरित्र निर्माण। मैं ऐसे लोगों को चाहूंगा जो देश को प्यार कर सकें, अपने लोगों को प्यार कर सकें, जिनके अंदर त्याग और सेवा की भावना हो। यही हमारी कमी। डॉक्टर रजिता जी बात कर रही थी तो मुझे याद आया कि यूनेस्को का महात्मा गांधी इंस्टीट्यूट फॉर एजुकेशन एंड सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट आजकल दो शब्द इस्तेमाल करता है, सोशल एंड इमोशनल लर्निंग। सोशल एंड इमोशनल लर्निंग से जो व्यक्तित्व विकसित होगा, पर्सन टू पर्सनालिटी, वही ह्यूमैनिटी टू डिविनिटी की तरफ जा सकता है। इसको अगर हम अध्यापक लोग मान लें तो जैसे प्रोफेसर पटेल कह रहे थे, सबसे अधिक इम्प्लीमेंटेशन तो अध्यापकों को ही करना है। और इस करने के लिए देश भर के अध्यापकों को अगर ये स्वीकृति मिल जाए, वे मान लें, अपने अंदर अंतर्निहित कर लें, तो निश्चित रूप से अगले साल 2 साल में नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी का बहुत बड़ा हिस्सा सफलतापूर्वक क्रियान्वित हो चुका होगा। हमें इसी आशा के साथ आगे बढ़ना चाहिए। मैं AIU को धन्यवाद देता हूं कि मुझे उन्होंने आप सबसे मिलने का मौका दिया। मेरे जैसे व्यक्ति के लिए ये अत्यंत संतोष की बात है, प्रसन्नता की बात है कि आप सब लोगों से मैंने बात सुनी। आपने मेरे बारे में जो शब्द कहे उस सब के लिए धन्यवाद। आप सबको बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं।
थैंक यू सर।
नमस्कार सर।
Thank you, sir. Let me take the privilege to propose a vote of thanks on behalf of Jaipur National University, the host of Association of Indian Universities, West Zone Vice Chancellors Meet 2020 and 2021. We would like to convey our sincere gratitude to the chairperson of the session, Professor J.S. Rajput ji, for gracing this session. We are also thankful to Dr. Harshad Patel ji, Dr. B.K. Tripathi ji, and Ms. Rajita Kulkarni ji for giving deep insights, for sharing innovative approaches to teacher education. It's time to have a comfort break or a tea break. And I request all of you to attend technical sessions on skilling, upskilling and reskilling India at 3:45 p.m. as per the schedule.